na pag-usapan muna natin yung importance ng pagsiset ng inyong rates and policies. So, unang-una, bakit kailangan nating mag-set ng ating rates and policies is unang-una is professionalism. Kasi kung kayo, before kayo makipag-usap sa clients, beforehand pa na makipag-usap kayo sa clients at meron na kayong rate sheets and then policy, alam niyo yung policy ninyo, you are just showing to your clients that you know what you're talking about, that you know your services, and that you are skills and well experienced with the services that you are offering to them. Yun po yung tinatawag nating professionalism. At least, hindi tayo parang pawindang-windang. Kasi kapag meron kayong rate sheets, parang kinukommunicate ninyo sa client na I am professional, I know what I am doing, and I've been doing these services for many years. So, hindi lang tayo yung parang fly-by-night services na hindi natin alam or nakikigaya lang tayo sa iba sa pagiging virtual assistant. Yun po ay isa sa important things na bakit kailangan natin iset yung ating rates and policies. And number 2 is transparency. Of course, gusto natin maging transparent tayo sa client kasi kung bibigyan natin ng parang hula-hula lang si client kung ano yung services or kahit sa sarili na natin, di ba? Kung hindi mo alam yung rate mo, paano ka makakapag-discuss kay client ng iyong services? Again, related po ito kapag hindi mo alam yung niche, hindi ka makakapag-price. Hindi mo madadiscuss na mabuti yung iyong services, specialized services kay client. And then, another important things about setting your price and policies is you are setting your value proposition kasi kung alam mo yung price mo, syempre, yung price mo is based dun sa iyong skills, experience, sa industries mo. So, kung alam mo yung pricing mo, nakakapag-provide ka ng better services sa iyong client. And then, kapag nagkaroon kayo ng initial conversation with the client, you can discuss na your edge between you and your competitor. Kasi nga, you know what you're talking about, the value na mapuprovide sa kanila. Kaya, it's important as yung sa value proposition ninyo with the client is, again, yung set, kapag meron na kayong set na pricing and policy. And another important kung bakit tayo kailangan mag-set ng ating rates and policies is, again, dahil nga doon, ano ba yung motivation natin? So, this will answer your motivation. At again, sabi ko nga, kung ang motivation ninyo is money, which majority of us is, of course, wanting to have an increase in income. Pero again, kapag kayo ang goal ninyo or isa sa motivation ninyo is yung, of course, increase ng income, again, gusto niyo i-set yung inyong rate in a better way na hindi kayo lugi at alam niyo na it will sustain you financially kapag kayo ay nag-acquire na ng new project or new client. Again, i-consider ninyo or makukonsider ninyo yung inyong financial stability kapag alam niyo yung rate. Kasi makakalculate niyo, how much income do I need per month or how many clients do I need per month, and then makakalculate niyo yun. Kung yun po, yung bang pricing ninyo and yung client ninyo ay sustainable ba monthly to provide for your bills or to pay for your bills and for some saving as well. And then again, kapag nag-set kayo ng rates ninyo, alam niyo yung inyong resources, yung inyong expense, inyong mga resources like your time, di ba? Time is your resource. So, alam niyo kung gusto niyo mag-work lang ng 4 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, or kung gusto niyo 16 hours. So, mapoprovide niyo yun sa, ma-convey niyo yun sa client through your pricing. Another most important thing, I would say the most important thing ito kapag nagsiset kayo ng rate or kung bakit importante na meron kayong rates and policies is to know your clients. Ma-screen niyo yung clients niyo kasi kukuha ba kayo ng clients na hindi naman afford yung inyong services na parang ano yun, magbibigay na lang tayo ng services na lugi tayo or yung services natin parang kumbaga, nagpo-provide lang tayo ng services kasi gusto lang natin magkaroon ng experience or something like that. Pero kapag kayo ay maayos yung inyong pricing, malalaman ninyo or may screen ninyo initially pa lang during initial conversation with the client na itong client na to, I can work with him with the price na ni-rain ko. Alam ko na afford niya at hindi siya yung tipo ng client na hindi ako babayaran after some time. Kasi may mga ganun eh. Yung mga ibang virtual assistant, nakikita ko dun sa Facebook na sinasabi nila, I rendered services for 1 month and then sabi ni client, babayaran ako after 30 days pero hindi na sila binayaran. Again, kapag may price range ka, and then meron kang mga policies na na-set ninyo, pinapirma ninyo si client doon at nag-agree sila doon, meron kayong habol. Pero kasi yung mga beginners dyan, nakita ko talaga doon sa, hindi sila binayaran, blah, blah, blah. So wala na silang habol kasi nga virtual assistant sila, independent contractor. And there's no way na they can demand further kasi nga wala silang means of doing that kundi mag-email lang doon. And then i-ignore lang naman ni client yung kanilang email. So again, may mga nangyayari kung gano'n. Hindi lahat, swertihan lang. Pero again, kung hindi ka handa sa iyong price rate o sa rate and then sa policies, most likely may experience din ninyo yung mga ganong bagay. So kapag may price kayo, sa initial screening pa lang, sa initial conversation sa client, pag sinabi ninyo yung price nila at medyo napakurap si client, medyo malalaglag sa upuan dahil sasabihin niya, your price is too high, ganyan, ganyan. But you know exactly if you and that client can work together and if you are both fit to work together dun sa project na yun. So, yung pa lang may screen na ninyo. And that's one thing na important kung bakit kailangan natin mag-set ng rate. And again, another thing or the last thing na kung bakit important na meron tayong pricing na tinatawag or mag-set tayo ng pricing is para alam niyo yung professional boundaries ninyo. Ito guys, kapag nagsiset kayo ng rates, sabihin ko nga sa inyo, huwag naman yung sobrang baba. Kasi nakikita ko dun sa mga newbie na mga virtual assistant, lalo na yung mga talagang eager sila na lumipat from BPO, tapos gusto nila mag-virtual assistant, nagtatanggap or yung mga lumilipat from BPO to virtual assistant, tapos yung mga gusto lang magkaroon ng experience, pumapayag sila ng rates na $1 per hour. Guys, paano naman yung ibang mga nag-virtual assistant? Kasi kapag nag-set kayo ng too low para sa inyong services, binababa ninyo yung value ng ibang virtual assistant. Kasi sasabihin ni client na, bakit ako, meron ako na-encounter or mayroon ako na-meet na ganito, yung isang candidate, $2 lang per hour yung accounting ninyo, na gagawa rin siya ng bookkeeping services sa akin, samantalang sa iyo, nagsiset ka ng $12. Bakit pa ako kukuha ng $12 wherein I can get it for $2, diba? So, tayong mga virtual assistant, we have to be working together as well. We have to align our services pricing as well. Kasi, huwag naman natin i-devalue yung ating services. Kasi we can provide good quality, good quality service, we can provide loyalty and dedication sa ating work, and we can provide more value to them compared dun sa ibang bansa na nagpo-provide ng virtual assistant. Pero kung ilalower ninyo, again, yung price natin, hindi lang nilalower ninyo yung value ninyo, nilalower din ninyo yung dignity natin as a Filipino worker na, napaka-cheap ng labor natin, we're in 8 hours nag-work ka pa. Kung sinet mo ng tama yung iyong pricing, you don't have to work 8 hours a day. You can work only 4 or 3 hours a day na you are earning the same income na ipag-work mo ng 8 hours. So let's just be fair. Sabi ko nga, let's always have professional boundaries when it comes to pricing. So do your research, kumbaga i-level ninyo yung pricing ninyo doon sa market. Okay lang naman magbaba kayo para marami nyong makuha na clients or cost projects. Pero huwag naman yung sobrang baba na tipong sobrang kasi ang katwiran ng iba, Miss Lisa, kasi kaya okay lang ako dun sa $2 per hour kasi 'di ba ang minimum rate dito sa Philippines is 500 per day lang. Isipin mo kung $2 per hour. So sa 8 hours meron na akong 800 pesos kaagad, sabi niya ganoon. So mas malaki ng 300. Pero guys, if you can earn more, why not? Bakit mo isi-settle yung sarili mo sa less? Tapos yung ibang magsasuffer dahil lang nag-set ka ng less. Kumbaga, do your research and then i-align mo yung service mo dun sa iba. Kumbaga, put yourself, i-raise mo yung value mo dun sa client mo para naman align tayo. At in the first place, kaya nga tayo nagiging gusto mag-virtual assistant is to increase profit or to increase earnings. Pero kung nagsiset ka ng mababa, paano naman yung iba? So again, let's have some professional boundaries po when it comes to pricing. Yun lang naman yung advice ko sa inyo guys. Kasi kung kayo, although naiintindihan ko naman, na kapag kayo magsiset ng mababang presyo, madali kayong makukuha. Pero guys, I'm telling you, walang nagtatagal na virtual assistant na nagpo-provide lang or ang rate lang nila is $1 to $2 per hour. Eventually, after few months, nag-resign na sila kasi nakikita nila na pwede pa pala silang mag-set ng rate ng much higher. And then, syempre, kawawa naman yung clients kapag gano'n yung ginawa ninyo. Kasi yung client naman na yun is umaasa sa inyo. So, another investment with them sa training. Kaya sabi ko nga sa inyo, kapag, meron tayo, by the way, meron akong toolkit yan on how you gonna negotiate your price with your clients. So, may mga tips and tricks ako doon sa toolkit natin. Again, free yun. Feel free to check them out kasi meron ako doong lesson para kayo kung paano kayo mag-negotiate sa client. So, part po yun ng course na ito. So, now let's move forward kung paano natin isi-set yung ating price. So, number 1, una natin gagawin is do your market research. Again, sabi ko nga, align your pricing with other virtual assistant with the level of your expertise and the level of your experience. Do not settle for less. If you can price them this high, kung ang normal pricing nila halimbawa sa accounting receivables, accounts receivable lang na service, okay? So, sa accounts receivable, sabihin na natin na yung deposit, ima-match mo lang siya sa mga invoicing. So, let's say 50 invoices versus 50 deposits dun sa kanilang bank account. Ang service ninyo is $8 for 1 hour, okay? So, yung $8 na yun, kung yun yung normal range ng rate ng ibang virtual assistant, then you can lower it to 6 or 7, depends sa inyong level of comfort and confidence and experience, again, sa pag-provide ng services na ganun. Pero guys, don't settle for $3 or $4 kasi, again, nilolower natin yung value nating mga Filipino. We provide quality service, we provide dedication, and we are very dedicated to our work. And yun pa lang guys, it works the more than $1 na po. Kaya do not settle for less. Kasi nga, again, i-align natin yung ating price sa market. Baga magawa tayo ng research about sa virtual assistant sa US rate, India, yung mga Indonesia, yung mga kalapit nating bansa na nagsiset ng rate. Again guys, sa virtual assistants, yung mga typical admin or general admin assistant or admin work lang, they are charging for $25 per hour. Eh bakit ka naman magsisettle sa $2 kung pwede ka naman makipag-negotiate sa $8? Kumbaga, below average ka pa rin, pero at the same time, hindi naman ganun kababa na compare mo dun sa average nila dun sa US na mga nag-virtual assistant, $25 per hour. Come on, tapos mag-accept ka lang ng $2, raise our value. Okay? Raise our value as a Filipino virtual assistant. Second is, nakapag-research na kayo ng market, diba? So again, do your work to research kung yung mga neighboring countries or yung ibang country na nagpo-provide dun sa bansa nila. Halimbawa, ang target market niyo is US. Tingnan niyo kung ano yung market na average range ng mga nag-virtual assistant. Kung ano, depend dun sa niche niyo. Kung kayo ay virtual assistant as general admin assistant, then i-check niyo. Usually 20 to 25 kasi yung rate ng mga nag-virtual assistant per hour doon. So again, do your market research. Second is calculate your cost. Kasi sabi ko nga, porque dito sa Pilipinas, ang nasa isip lang natin is, Miss Lisa, ang rate namin dun sa company dito sa Pilipinas is $500 pesos per day. Hindi yun per hour ha, per day. So, okay na ako mag-receive ng $100 per day. So, again, hindi po natin dapat basta-basta i-compare yung pricing natin dito sa Philippines. Kumbaga, increase natin yung value natin. And then, kung bakit natin kailangang i-allocate yung cost natin is, kasi syempre, kapag mag-virtual assistant ka, independent contractor, so isipin mo, ano ba yung mga associated cost doon sa aking services? So, isipin mo yung iyong electricity, yung iyong computer, yung maintenance ng computer mo kapag ka nagkaroon ng problem. Tapos, yung cost mo ng internet, okay? And then, syempre, may mga backup dyan kasi hahanapan ka ng clients ng backup kapag may mga bagyo or nag-power interruption sa inyong area or kapag nagkaroon ng problem yung internet mo. So, yung mga cost na yon, kailangan mo yung i-consider sa pag-price. And then, again, kapag virtual assistant ka, wala kang hindi nila babayaran yung mga government contribution nyo, i-add ninyo yun doon, yung SSS contribution ninyo, kung mag-voluntary kayo, contribution sa government, yung SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, i-calculate ninyo yun, i-add up ninyo yun as an expense. And then, i-consider din ninyo yung tax. Magkano ba yung rate ng tax kapag independent contractor? Di ba, meron tayong tinatawag na 40% OSD or yung 8% natin kung mag-itemize tayo ng ating receipt, di ba? So, yung palang i-consider ninyo yon kung magkano yung magiging cost ng tax ninyo dun sa mga services na ipo-provide ninyo or sa magiging income ninyo at the end of the year. And then, based dun sa mga cost na yon, dun kayo mag-identify kung magkano yung magiging rate ninyo in general. Now, kapag na-identify na ninyo yung inyong mga cost, again, isama na ninyo yung inyong coffee pala sa mga cost ninyo. Yung coffee ninyo, syempre, kung mag-work kayo ng night shift o gaano karami coffee ang inyong makukonsume in a month, magkano yung cost ninyo noon, yung electricity sa pag-heat up and warm nung inyong coffee, yung mag-mug ninyo. So, anything na pwede ninyong i-add na cost doon, yung mga naisip ninyong mga value, mga expenses na ma-incur niyo, katulad ng mga mouse ninyo, yung headset ninyo, yung mga ganyan, lights ninyo, and then ano pa ba, mga power bank na mga backup ninyo, and then kung magta-travel kayo, kailangan ninyo ng bag na paglalagyan ninyo yung inyong laptop. So, yung mga small cost na yun, i-add natin para malaman natin yung totoong cost, totoong value ng ating services. Kapag nagkaroon na kayo na cost na identify na ninyo, na calculate na ninyo yung total expenses ninyo, now let's move forward naman sa bracketing. Sa bracketing or yung pricing structure natin. So, kasi kailangan may option kayo. Ang option ninyo dyan is, pwede kayong hourly, pwedeng project-based, and then pwede din naman kayong fixed price ng inyong services. So, mag-create kayo ng different pricing structure. Depends kung ano yung services ninyo. Again, pwede kayong mag-set ng pricing ninyo. Depends sa specific service. Again, isa-isa ko na yan, in-itemize ko yan dun sa previous video ko. Ang sabi ko, pwede kayong mag-set ng pricing for, let's say sa accountant is for accounts receivable. So, accounts receivable, ilang invoices yung ipaprocess ninyo to this amount, to this price. Kasi sa US, sa mga bookkeeping companies, ang usually sa accounts receivable nila by number of or the volume of invoices na ipaprocess nila. Ganun din sa mga expenses and sa mga bill pay nila. Halimbawa, mga 30 invoices or bills yung ipaprocess nila. Ang price nila is $100 per month. So, hindi hour per month. So, i-calculate ninyo yun. Halimbawa, ang volume ng inyong bank transaction is 200 transaction, ika-categorize ninyo yun. So, ang pricing ninyo is $500 per month. Halimbawa, ganon ang pricing ninyo. Ang volume ng transaction ninyo is 200. So, beyond 200, extra na yun, add-on. So, mag-create ulit kayo ng another bracket or pricing structure na, halimbawa, from range 0 to 200 bank transaction, ng inyong bank sa pag-reconciliation, ang price ko is $200 per month. Kung $300, $350 per month. So, ganun po yung pag-create natin ng pricing sa accounting po yan sa mga CPA or sa mga bookkeeping services. Ngayon naman, kung kayo ay mga engineering, so pwede kayong per project, depende, mag-billable hours kayo. Kung halimbawa, ang work ninyo is billable hours, ganito yung rate ninyo, 65 per, halimbawa, ang billable rate nila is $20. O then, at pwede kayong mag-charge sa kanila ng $20. And then, kung hindi naman billable yung rate ninyo, pwede kayong mag-charge na, halimbawa, ang rate ninyo is $12 per hour. So, doon pa lang po, mababracket na ninyo, masiset na ninyo yung inyong pricing structure. Again, calculate, know your market, check ninyo yung market range ninyo ng mga VAs, sa mga specialty ninyo, and then sa niche ninyo. And then, second is calculate the cost. And then second is magkano yung gusto ninyong maging profit against doon sa cost na yun within the year or within the month or within the hour na reasonable naman sa inyo based doon sa standard average sa market. And then fourth is i-consider nga ninyo yung pricing structure ninyo kung paano kayo mag-provide ng service. Again, pwede kayo mag-provide ng service hourly, pwede kayong fixed rate, or pwede rin kayong project-based. Kasi nakikita ko sa mga nag-virtual assistant, lalo na yung walang alam or kumbaga nag-jump in na lang sila from their previous job to virtual assistant. Basta nakigaya na lang sila na, natanggap ako dyan, ganyan. So parang ang consideration nila is parang employed na rin sila as full-time employee. Hindi na nila nagawa ng further studies na or hindi na nila napag-aralan na pwede pala akong mag-bracket or pwede pala akong mag-set ng pricing structure depends sa services. Again, ang pagiging virtual assistant naman is depend again sa inyong motivation and goal. Kasi kung ang goal ninyo is again magkaroon lang kayo ng one client, premium client, and then mag-service lang kayo ng 4 to 6 hours a day, okay na yun para magkaroon kayo ng quality time sa client. That's all up to you. Pero yung mga virtual assistant na gusto talagang magkaroon ng malaking earnings and gawing business itong pagiging virtual assistant, again, you have to set your price. You have to set your price, you have to set your services. Okay lang naman din na, kasi ako nagsimula ako na provide lang ako ng services like for 4 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, and then multiple clients. Although mahirap sometimes kapag nagkakaroon ng conflict with the schedule ng mga meetings kasi hindi ka naman pwedeng mag-attend ng meetings ng sabay-sabay at the same time. So, yun lang naman yung mga consequences nun. Pero again, we're talking about the pricing, setting up the bracketing ng inyong pricing structure ng inyong services. Now, kapag meron na kayong nagawa na ninyo yung pricing structure ninyo, isets ninyo yung inyong clear policies. Bakit kailangan ninyo magkaroon ng policies? Kasi kailangan ninyong, kapag mag-create kayo ng proposal, guys, kailangan is, meron kayong nakalagay doon na inclusion, exclusion, and then yung mga terms and condition. Kailangan yun kasi paano kung halimbawa si client hindi nagbayad or kapag hindi sila nagbayad or baka hindi na lang sila nag-show up or kapag yung mga scope of services na pinagagawa nila sa inyo is beyond na doon sa scope of work na from your initial conversation. So kung may mga set kayo ng policies, yung importante kasi yung terms of payment and then yung inclusion and exclusions, usually sasama ninyo doon yung mga conditions ninyo about sa maintenance. Halimbawa, kung ang inyong services ay sa web design, di ba? Magagawa kayo ng web design. Karamihan, sa experience ko yan guys dito sa My Virtual Era, karamihang experience yan is yung client kasi kapag busy, lalo kapag mga small size business sila, ang karamihan sobrang busy sila and then yung timeline ninyo na 30 days, nagiging 90 days na and then wala pa rin yung kailangan mong assets na ni-request sa kanila or yung mga ni-request mong content sa kanila. It takes time. Paano kung fixed rate kayo? So, lugi ka na kasi yung 3 months na, yung 1 month or 30 days lang dapat na pinag-work mo, naging 90 days. So, lugi ka na ng 2 months agad. So, na-experience ko yun before. So, it is important na mayroon kayong mga terms and conditions and policies na pwede kayong sabihin ninyo na kapag na-late ng payment sila in 15 days, pwede na kayong mag-charge ng 1 to 2%. Mga ganon. Again, it's up to you kung ano yung mga conditions na ilalagay ninyo doon. Or halimbawa naman kapag yung ni-request nila na scope is hindi kasama dun sa initial scope of work, then sasabihin niyo any scope of work that is not discussed doon sa initial conversation or dun sa initial or not included on the scope of work, initial scope of work will be charged accordingly, di ba? Pwedeng mag-set kayo ng mga ganong terms and condition. Again, know your value, know your worth, set your price, and then again, set your clear policies para sa inyong pricing and then sa inyong services. Kasi guys, mangangapa kayo. Initially, sa unang-una lang, initially talaga mahirap, lalo kapag nag-start pa lang kayo kasi maraming question, paano yung invoicing namin? Paano yung pag-send namin ng quotation? So yung mga yon sa pag-set pa lang ng price, dapat alam na ninyo and then alam ninyo kung ano yung mga kinakailangan ninyong gawin. So now, Kung gusto niyo magkaroon ng deeper understanding on how you're gonna set your price, again, I set a separate video, separate toolkit kung paano ninyo i-set ng maayos yung inyong pricing. And then may mga sinet ako doon na example. So feel free to check those toolkits. And then again, that's for free. And then that is included on this course. Kasi again, ang purpose ko lang nitong lesson 1 to 12 is to give you an insight, better understanding on how it works when it comes to virtual assistant. Kaya ang purpose ko is to guide you from step 1 to getting your clients, and then so that you will have an insight if becoming virtual assistant is the right fit for you. And also another thing, when you are setting your pricing, do your research as well sa mga legalities ng mga contract sa mga virtual assistant. Although syempre kasi ano kayo, W9, BEN kayo when it comes to taxation doon sa kanila kasi independent contractor kayo, walang mga taxing kayo. Pero again, yung sa mga services ninyo, especially kung kayo ay mga professional like accountant or engineers, lalo na sa mga engineers kasi kung kayo ay licensed naman, check ninyo yung inyong mga kailangan ninyong malaman sa mga legalities when it comes to providing services kung kayo ay mga licensed engineer. Yung bang license ninyo is applicable ba doon? Kung magsasign kayo ng mga documents or mga drawing and things like that, or kung magpo-provide kayo ng mga design, acceptable ba yun? And then kapag something na mangyari, sino ang liable? Ikaw ba o si client? Kung ganun din sa mga accountant. Kung kayo ay magpo-provide ng financial accounting sa kanila, or auditing, yung bang inyong license applicable sa kanila, kung pagsasignin nila kayo ng documents, authorized ba kayo doon sa country nila, or ano yung magiging bearing or effect nun sa inyo as a virtual assistant kung sa kayo yung paperman ng document. So have a clarity or i-clarify ninyo yun sa client, and then ilagay ninyo yun sa inyong terms and conditions and sa inyong policies. And then kapag nagsastate kayo ng rates when it comes to legalities, again, ilalagay ninyo dun kung cover ba yung rate ninyo ng mga taxes or kung ano-ano pang mga conditions. Kasi again, may mga consequences din yan. And then this is something na hindi na di-discuss ng ibang mga nag-i-encourage dyan sa YouTube lang na, okay, enroll kayo dito sa course ko, tuturuan ko kayo mag-create ng social media, create kayo ng CV, ito yung template ng paggawa ng invoice, template ng paggawa ng contract. It's not just like that. Porque meron na kayong contract or template, okay na. There are some things, as a professional, there are some things or there are so many things that you should consider when it comes to contracting or providing services sa mga companies sa ibang bansa. Again, mag-set kayo ng rates, and again, yung policies niyo, you have to be clear about it. And then kung may mga kaibigan naman kayo na mga marunong sa laws doon sa country nila, or may mga template kayo makukuha sa internet kung ano yung mga terms and conditions na applicable sa kanila, di ba? So again, kung kayo ay may specific niche or specialty, alam niyo yung meron kayong mga questions sa head ninyo na kapag magpo-provide kayo ng services ninyo na na-encounter ninyo sa day-to-day practice ninyo as an accountant or as an engineer or as a professional. So yung mga questions ninyo na about sa mga legalities and things like that and terms and conditions sa mga pag-provide ng services is the same question that you should be asking to your client. So number 1 po is research your market cost. Second is calculate your cost. Number 3 is define your pricing structure. Number 4 is consider value pricing structure. Number 5, establish clear policies. Next is create your price rate or rate sheet. And then next is set expectation and boundaries. Of course, that's important. And then last is seek legal advice or financial advice when it comes to setting your pricing. And then again, research, and learn, educate yourself. Huwag tayong basta-basta mag-rely lang sa mga success stories ng ibang VA. Again, every situation, every person, luck is different from the other person lang. Kaya, you know yourself, you know your niche, you know your services, you know your value, and then again, it's all up to you. I'm just here to provide guidance to help you start from the scratch, but again, this course will not guarantee that you will be able to land your job immediately or your first client immediately, but again, this will enhance or give you more understanding and insight on how you're going to position yourself to the market, and then shape yourself with your competitors, and then at least you know what you're going to do next. Yun yung aking main mission, is to help you understand the reality of the virtual assistant so that you can adjust yourself well. Again, wag lang tayong basta-basta mag-jump into conclusion or makikigaya lang sa iba. Again, success takes time. It won't happen overnight. You need to do some research, you need to do some learning, and again, you have to do some work, hard work, para ma-achieve ninyo yung inyong goal to become a successful virtual assistant. But again, it won't happen na yung mga sinasabi na, okay, join to my lesson or to my course and then in a month, you will be able to land your first client. Yes, you might. Pero again, depends sa inyong goal. Kung ang goal ninyo is basta parang employee lang kayo, mag-acquire lang kayo ng isang client, then okay na, sasweldo na kayo ng mga 5% or 10% higher than your regular rate dito sa Philippines. It's up to you. It's your choice. But why not? Why not? If you can earn more, why not? Diba? Kaya nga tayo nag-switch into virtual assistant is to have a better earnings, diba? So again, it's all up to you. Meron kayong options of ang virtual assistant is very promising steps towards your career goal or sa financial goal or whatever, family goal or personal goal. Ang nasa inyo lang is the work is again is still up to you. Sa akin is guidance. And I'm happy to help. If you wanted to book a one-on-one booking with me, you can do that. Just I'll give you a link and you can find it on the in this site. And then again, meron din po akong workshop which is 10 people workshop every Saturdays for 1 hour. And then you can raise all your questions doon, and then I hope na I will be able to help you. And again, all the advices and the advices na makukuha ninyo from that workshop and for that one-on-one lesson is again based on my experience as a recruitment manager, as a business owner, and again as a partner with several companies in the US. All right, I think that's it for this lesson, and now let's move forward to my next lesson. And again, see you on my next video. Bye.